Hey everyone, Chapter 13, Lesson 1, and this is going to be a really important concept that we're taking a look at here because it's going to establish pretty much the rest of the entire marking period with what we're doing. And we're discussing something today called the origins of the Cold War. And this is really important because it's going to go from almost before World War II ends, like 1944, and it's going to go all the way to pretty much 1991. So it's a really, really, really long time that we have this thing called the Cold War going on, and the Cold War will establish pretty much everything that our country chooses to do around the world. That is what will dictate it, and what it does and why it does it for the next like 60 years or 50 years rather of American history from 1944 to 1991. So we just want to get refreshed really quick with who are the players and what's going on. On our side, this guy right here, this is President Harry Truman. And Harry Truman takes office after FDR dies, before World War II ends. So Harry Truman takes over in 1945, before World War II is done with. This is when he's kind of in charge. On the other side of the Cold War is going to be this dude right here, Joseph Stalin. He's the guy that is the dictator of the Soviet Union. In World War II, though, remember, he was an ally of the United States. He helped fight Germany along with Great Britain. And so these are the two powers that are at play during the Cold War. Now, what is the Cold War? Well, here's the thing that we need to remember, and what we always need to remember. This is not a war with actual battles. It's a war between different ideas. That's really, really important. And you can see the two different competing ideas that exist. One is democracy, the other is communism. And you can see what's different about them. People choose and run the government in a democracy, whereas a communist dictatorship, the government controls everything. In a democracy, you often have a capitalist economy with laissez-faire and private property and freedom to choose and make a profit, whereas in a communist economy, the government will control all of those. In democracies, we have countries like the United States, France, Britain, West Germany. In communism, we'll see countries like the Soviet Union, Poland, Romania, East Germany. And we have two nicknames for all of these different countries that practice democracy, where the people choose the government with a capitalist economy. We call them the West. And we have a nickname for countries where the communist government controls everything and limits your freedom, and we call them the East. That's really important to understand, the West versus the East. So what are we going to be looking at here in terms of the origins of the Cold War? What we're looking at here is how did the Cold War shape international relations? And so pretty much every major international event is going to be a war of ideas, communism versus democracy. So how does this function and what does this look like? Well, the reason we see the Cold War develop is that the Soviets want certain things and we want different things. Like you can see on this slide, the Soviets have different desires as World War II is coming to an end. They want to keep Germany weak, keep control of countries that exist between the USSR and Germany. So all those, they want to get control, for example, of countries like Poland and East Germany and Czechoslovakia and Hungary, because here's the Soviet Union. And here's where Germany was, right? And they want to control the countries in between those places because that would keep them safe. They have a desire to encourage communism in other countries because they believe that democracies are out to destroy the USSR. And in some ways, they're going to be right. We will want to be out to destroy them. Whereas we want to promote economic growth through capitalism. We want trade and private property and laissez-faire and free enterprise and profit. We want to use that to prevent wars and Great Depressions. We had a name for that, by the way, that idea of trading with other people. Remember that? FDR called it internationalism. And we want to encourage democracy and laissez-faire in other countries. because we think the communists are out to get us, and they are. So we have different desires that put us almost at like complete opposite ends of each other.